Okay, this video is to show you how to create an input mask when you have time so that you don't have to put in the separator. If you're keying in, for example, times for elapsed times for something like sports or swimming, and you don't want it necessarily to format out in the time of day. There are no input or built-in input masks within FileMaker, such as are available within Access. So you need to do it by having two fields and then using one of them to calculate the output of the other field and have that one be displayed. So it's a little bit of a process, but it works. I'll just show that by illustration. If in this example I put in 45, 23 and move off, it becomes 45 colon 23, or it has the separator and the delimiter that I want without having that labor of making having the user have to type that in. So in order to do that, we need to set up some fields, one for the input of the time, one for the masking, and then we just combine those visually to give the output that we want. So I'm just going to go into the layout mode, and if I drag apart what I have here, I actually have a prelim time field, a masking field, and then over here I have a rectangle with the same fill as the background, and that's going to put the visual barrier between the fields. If we go into managing our database and look at how that's set up, the prelim time is actually a text input field. So we just set that as text, and when we go into the options though, under the validation tab, require the strict data type of numeric only, so that somebody can't key in A's and B's characters. You can set the maximum number of characters that you want for your input, in this case minute, minute, second, second, so that's 4 characters. And you also can put a custom error message to display. So here I put only 4 digits are allowed, do not include, I realize there's a typo in my error message, do not include semicolons or full stops. The second thing to do is have another field. In this case I've called it masking, and it's a calculation field. And if we look at the calculation, what it's saying, we just use our sort of text trimming input functions that are available, and we say take the left 2 digits of the field prelim time, so that's left 2 digits from prelim time. The and is your concatenation operator, so concatenate within speech marks or quotation marks, we have the separator that we want, which is in this case a colon, and which is the concatenation operator, the right 2 digits from the prelim time. You can see where you could modify that if you wanted to be able to put in the full stop and maybe milliseconds. After that you could just concatenate on, and then you can change what you are getting using your text trimming and text built-in functions. Okay, so then it's just a matter of setting it up for visual display, but I'll go back with these separated so that you can see. If I put in another time here, I'm actually just putting in the numeric characters 4123, and the output is displayed over here in the masking field. And here you can see I've got that text box that's going to serve as sort of our mask in between those. Oh, the other thing that's really important on your masking field, if you go into the inspector under the data tab, you have to make sure under the behavior that none of those items are checked, and that way there's no input into that field. It's just actually displaying the output of your input field that you want for your time. Okay, the next thing to do, I'm just going to do this from scratch, is to create that sort of visual rectangle, that's the visual block that's going to help us with our masking display. So I'll just create a rectangle. And it's important that the rectangle is the same color as whatever you've used for the background of your body. So if you select the body and go into the inspector under the appearance, you can see that you have the solid color, but in order to set that up as a color that you can pick for the rectangle, if you use your color picker, click on it, and then drag that over, and then it's a predefined color for you. And now when I click on the rectangle, make that a solid color, I can just use the predefined color that I've made, and that way it blends right into the background of the body. Not sure. I'm just going to do that again because I'm not sure if I actually color picked the exact color I want. So from my body, just ensuring that I've made my swatch the color that I want it to be. Guess I have. And I'm going to utilize that swatch. There we go. So it should totally blend in when we get off. I'm going to click off of it. All right, the next thing that we need to do, just if we make sure we set up our arrangement like the layer order. So I'm going to right click on the prelim time, make sure I send that to the back. I'm going to right click on my masking and arrange that and make sure I bring that to the front so that it's the one in the front. And then I can use the tools within the inspector to put these together and align them properly. So if I go into my position, first thing I'm going to do is align them on their left edges. And then the second thing I'm going to do is set the size, and I'm going to tell them to make them all the same size, so resize to the smallest width and height. And then finally I'm going to align them on their bottom edges so they're perfectly in line. And that will create the illusion that it's just one field. Once I do that, I exit the layout. And now when I click in there, I'm actually entering into the prelim time field. So another example, 54:33, and it's output though and displaying the masking field.